Welcome to Get Perspective, the unscripted, unfiltered, real talk show. And here, we bring people of all different nationalities, ages, and sexual orientations together. For what you may ask? To talk, of course, about social issues, dating, and anything and everything in between. 4 participants will watch 2 spontaneous interviews recorded at NHL Stenden. We call these Vox Boxes. After each Vox Box, the 4 of us will converse about the topic at hand. And who knows, maybe you'll get some perspective.
I'm here with
Michiel Manasseh,
Mattia Toriano,
Ivan,
Jeff,
Lia, Esther,
Dante,
Jan.
Steffi,
Urvianka.
Young people nowadays prefer fuck buddies and hookups over real relationships.
I think that's true, kind of.
I wouldn't completely agree with that.
I would say that's completely true.
But I think it's partly true and partly not true.
Maybe for the majority of young people it's easier to have hookups because there's a lack of commitment in that.
It's harder to stick in a relationship and deepen that than just go for the easy way and have sex with everybody.
One night stands are way easier and way more easy to handle that, relationships sometimes can be a big deal, but it's, up to every person.
I don't see anyone right now who wants to have like a real relationship or trying to make it work, and if something happens, like if they don't work together, it's just like break up.
I think it's a trend, like it could be part of your life for a certain period, but I feel like at some point you will get to settle down.
I personally would prefer just a real relationship because you're still making a connection with the other person. It's, I think, always going to be different when it's a real relationship compared to just an open kind of relationship purely for, sex, simply. Yeah.
We don't let somebody near us because we feel like, okay, if this person is overgoing a certain boundary, it's uncomfortable for me, and I just protect myself. That's why I push you away, and we can just be fuck buddies.
Nowadays, it is this way, sadly, and this is something that my boyfriend said the other day, and it's true that people nowadays are scared of falling in love.
Jeremy in the Vox Pop states, a relationship is really hard to get and maintain, and hookups are getting easier every time. Are hookups really easier than relationships?
I think it is. Because, okay, fact-based, my experience. I had hookups, 0 relationships. So at the end, it's, I think, easier to commit to hookups. And what I also liked about hookups is the experience. I learned from different people. I experienced sex with different people and the ways how to do it. So it's actually just like, experiencing yourself, learning new stuff. I think in that way it's easier.
Yeah, okay. I would like to add something to that. Maybe I'm a little bit in a different, I have a different opinion on that, and I would say that hookups are definitely, from my perspective, less emotional. Like there's less emotions in there, and it's basically just for the sex, it's not most of the times it's just for the sexual desire and not because you want to open a bonding with that person. But a relationship, on the other hand, for me personally, the sex is a lot greater because you can put in feelings, you can put in your emotions. It's like a no judgment zone. You can do stuff without being scared of being judged, which also gives you like a comfort zone. So I would say that the relationship is definitely more of a comfort zone than with hookups, and hookups you don't have to, you also have to think more. You can't let yourself go that much as in a sex in a relationship, and for me that makes sex in a relationship definitely a lot better than just hookups, but that's also just my personal opinion.
Yes. I mean, I do agree sex in a relationship can be way greater. But you also got to look at it in a different way. It depends on person to person, and even within yourself, it can depend in which period of time you are in your life and what you want. It's good to experiment, it's good to discover. So that hookups are easier doesn't mean that they're worse or they're bad. Like you said, I think it's very good just to experience, to discover what you like or what you don't like with different people. But also, sex in a relationship can be way greater.
Definitely, and you can also experience a lot of stuff with the partner you already know, and try out new things and stuff, and you can just easily talk about it. Yes.
Totally agree. I think hookups are much easier, but therefore they are not as rewarding in a way. Like in a relationship, you get everything out of it. You know, like not only the sex, not only the feelings, you get like everything that it's a mix of everything. And in a hookup, I think it's good for sex. I mean, I'm talking, you know, my opinion, my experience, but it's not as good. Like you're missing so much that, you know, makes sex itself complete. Yeah, like a relationship I feel like is here and then hookups are here. Like it's easier because you don't need to worry about the emotional part that much.
Like we said, it's a no judgment zone, and you can just be yourself and open up and be comfortable with that person, and that's something very great. But I would also like to add that hookups can definitely also lead to something very great. I mean, if you have a good hookup and you see that you have a great sexual chemistry and connection, then of course you're gonna have sex again, and that can also lead to something beautiful, I would say, like a relationship, or yeah.
A student at Vox Pop states, people nowadays are scared of falling in love. Why are people still afraid of falling in love?
I would like to take the word up, if that's all right, and I would like to tell you from a great example that I talked through with my mom a few months ago, and I had a very intimate discussion, I would say, with my mom, where we talked about love and feelings. And during that talk, I realized that my mom, she used to fall in love much more often than I do nowadays. And for her, it was she fell in love and got into a relationship, and then after 1 or 2 months, they realized it's not for them, it's not the right partner, and they broke it off. And you know, they were up to the next one, I would say, and falling in love way easier than I did, for example. And I started thinking about why that could be and why it is like this. And I think that people in our generation, or in the generations around us also, are definitely a lot more scared to fall in love and just to let yourself like fall back, like accept those feelings and just be vulnerable, show that person that you like him, because a lot of people nowadays are definitely scared of the rejection, and now people are just more focused on what the public sees, also what other people would think, what other people will see, and that definitely reduced. I feel like people falling in love, it doesn't happen that often anymore, and people are way more picky and have a way straighter picture of what their relationship or what their partner should look like and how the chemistry should be, instead of just letting themselves fall and trying to experience it alone and together and find a way. And I think, that's what I got out of the talk with my mom.
Great talk.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree. Nowadays it's way harder to fall in love, to get into a relationship, but I also think that ourselves, we're just overthinking it and overcomplicating it. Because I can also give a personal example, and I'm half Cuban, and in Cuba, once you start seeing someone, giving them the first kiss, already after that you're in a relationship. You know, you don't even have to talk about it, you don't even have to complicate yourself about it, you're just together. And if it works out, and if not, it doesn't. But I think that in the times that we live on, what you said, with all the social media exposure, it's very hard. It's very hard for us, because we like have this picture of our soulmate and this and how it should be on Instagram, YouTube couples, movies, everything. And the point that I also want to put out there, it's that sometimes the main problem, it's ourselves. I can give another personal example with this. It's that when you're not really happy with yourself, when you're not feeling good, when you're not loving yourself, you're clearly not going to want what's good for you. And I think that I'm not the only one who has experienced this, but when we might get something nice, something beautiful, like the perfect guy, he's doing everything right, and he's so nice, we just get scared because we feel like we don't deserve that good. We don't deserve to be treated like that. And if we don't love ourselves, how is somebody else going to do it? Mm-hmm. For which I also think that this can be a problem in between ourselves, and we really have to learn to love ourselves to somebody else to love us.
Yes, that's so like poetic. That sounded so poetic, but it's so true. You know, at the end of the day, If you don't love yourself, like you cannot teach anyone how to do it. And I also think now our society tells us to, there's always something better. You can always find out something that's gonna make you happier. Just like with everything else, I mean, in your life. And I think it's very dangerous because now, I don't know, I'm right now in a relationship. I'm 19 years old and I've heard, oh, but you're missing out, because you're with someone and you're missing out on all the other people out there. And sometimes we don't even think, is this making me happy? It's just, this is what I'm supposed to do because I'm young and I have to, experience and stuff. But I think sometimes you just have to listen to yourself and think, what am I valuing more in this moment in my life? Is it the emotional part that comes maybe with a partner? Or is it the sexually try things out with other people? And I think it's much more about reflecting. Again, it's reflecting all the time and what you really want, I think.
Yeah, I think what you all said is just like letting go of those expectations of external factors, external voices, and just listen to what you want.
Yeah.
And of course you can always have it better, but you can also be grateful for what you have and be happy. If you're happy,
Yes.
be happy, stick to that person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also feel like maybe there's also like this wrong perception of relationships sometimes, because I see a lot of toxic relationships or people depending on each other. If you're independent, you love yourself, then you don't have to rely on that person,
Totally.
You're together, you make yourself happy, each other happy, but you still have your own lives. Of course, like emotions, difficult topic, you can always get hurt. But that's, I think, normal that you can get hurt. But yeah.
I think something we can understand, we have to, understand is that falling in love is not the only thing in life that can hurt you. Like if pain is gonna come, it's gonna happen anyway, not because you love someone. And we are super scared, I was super scared of, giving that person the power to hurt me and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, anything, your friends could hurt you as well, and you don't stop having friendships. So why should you stop yourself from loving someone in a romantic way?
And also putting yourself in that vulnerable position can also be something very beautiful. If you accept it and stop being scared of it, can definitely also be a very bonding thing. Mm-hmm. If that other person also sees that you open yourself up, if your partner sees you open yourself up and put yourself in a vulnerable spot, they probably also want to do the same thing with you. And that definitely builds a strong connection and trust.
Totally. That was so deep and so passionate.
Yes.
I loved it.
When is the time to go for serious relationships instead of hookup?
Ooh, that's such a... wow, I think it really depends on the person, but for me, I think it's when I have the feeling that all the pain that might be caused is worth it, because that relationship is gonna be worth it anyway. And I think it's, you have to feel that it's gonna give you joy and happiness and pure positivity. You have to not stress over things that will make it unhealthy, or it's just like when you have the feeling that it's gonna be good for you, go for it and maybe take the risk, because it's not always 100% sure that it's gonna be completely okay, but just go for it and try it out, I'd say. I don't know.
Definitely. I mean, I agree with you. I would say that it completely depends on person to person and just how comfortable you are, Some people may not be comfortable taking that step yet, and some people might just be like, we're together, we're happy together, so let's just do this. But like I said, we're overthinking way too much sometimes. But also I want to disagree with one of your points. It's true that you can see it as it's worth the pain, but we shouldn't have that initial thought about it's going to be painful. Like you also mentioned before, like friendships can be painful, like family relationships can be painful, and not just because something can end up bad, we should think about stopping it.
And I think also the right one will come. I think time is just like, there is no specific time. There's not like on Tuesday at 2 a.m. you will get your partner or you will fall in love or whatever, It's just like, the time will come, you shouldn't chase someone or, I don't know, force anything. Just go with the flow if you're emotionally available for it, because emotions, and it's also a big topic and people are still afraid, but if you're ready to say oh, I'm ready for it emotionally, you can go for it.
Totally.
Or If not, you just stay single, or you just have hookups, you know. You just have hookups, and if the time is right and if the right person will also come, then it's maybe the time.
I agree. It's very, very hard to put like a certain point on that, where you get into a relationship or you don't. I think it just comes with the time, it comes with the flow, and it comes with how confident and good you are with that person. And at one point you're going to realize, and maybe it's before that person realizes, or maybe it's after that person realizes. But that's where we come back to communication and reflecting.
It's communication and reflecting.
But one last thing I want to say, adding to what you said, you know how like nowadays we always talk about having healthy relationships and not falling into the toxic relationship. And I think sometimes we kind of mix it together, and just because something hurts doesn't mean it's toxic. And you know, when you confront love in the most healthy way possible, you confront yourself and things about yourself you don't like, and therefore it's gonna hurt. But that doesn't mean that the relationship itself is not healthy. And I want to make that clear, because that's something I had to learn. So, yeah.
I think, in generally, learning that you will be okay at the end of the day, after every pain, whatever, is the key, that you know how to deal with it.
Yes, and a relationship can be very good for you, you know. You just want the best of each other, and you want to be good for that person. You want to live up to their expectations. You just want to be better for them, you know. So it can bring you a lot of good.
Definitely. I guess it's just putting yourself out of your own comfort zone, and trying to build up a new comfort zone with that person, I guess.
It's like feeling at home. It's like, that's how I describe it. Like, it's just feeling at home.
Like a no judgment zone, you can just let yourself fall.
It's just like, yeah, totally.
It's something you can always go back to and know you'll be okay.
You'll be okay. That's actually super cute.
You'll be okay.
Ah, cuties.